And hello Year 8, welcome back to Geography. Okay, we're going to start this lesson with an image in front of you. Have a look at it very, very closely. There are three starters to some sentences on the slide. I would like you to complete the following sentence starters. Pause this slide, have a go at that, don't spend more than 3 minutes on it, and then move on. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, you've probably said things like, I can see a very dry landscape. I can see 4 or 5 bushes that look like they are dead or look like they've been scorched. I can see a blue sky. I can see what looks like a muddy ground that looks cracked. Those are the kind of things you can see. You can infer. These are the things that you can't see directly, but you think might be happening. Okay, I think it's going to be really hot because the bushes don't have any leaves on them and they look scorched. I think it's hot because there are cracks in the ground, and I think that the soil has kind of shrunk in the heat of the day. And then I'm on to the I wonder. What questions would you ask to get more information? I want to know where this is in the world. I want to know why it's so hot. I want to know why the plants have died. I want to know why the soil has cracked like that in those funny shapes. So that gets us starting. Okay, today's big question is, how are people turning deserts green? That seems a strange question, doesn't it? Because deserts are not green. Deserts are very dry landscapes. But we are actually in northern Africa trying to turn the desert back green again so that people can live on the land and grow food and rear cattle. So today I'm hoping that you'll be able to name the countries in a region known as the Sahel. I'm also hoping that you'll know what the Sahel is. I'm hoping that you'll understand the causes of something called desertification. Desertification means that the land has become desert, so the deserts are growing. So I want you to be able to explain why the deserts have been growing. And then I want you to think about 2 strategies that you're going to learn about, 2 strategies of turning the deserts back to green, and decide on which you think is the best strategy. So that's today's lesson. Okay, so your first task, what is the Sahel? You have got 2 images there. You've got an image with all the country names on it at the bottom, and then at the top you've got an image with a brown line going across a part of Africa with numbered countries. Your task is to pause this slide, write the subtitle that you can see, so what is the Sahel, and use the map to list the 10 countries in the Sahel. So you'll want to pause this after 3 seconds, and when you've done that, unpause. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, now the Sahel region is a very, very arid, that means dry region in Africa, which is the transition area between savanna grasslands, which are grassy areas, and the Sahara Desert. So the Sahara Desert is absolutely desert, whereas the Sahel is kind of a semi-dry area. And unfortunately, recently, it's been turning more and more into desert. That's the bit that we're trying to turn green. In terms of the answers to the question that you've just done, here they are. So I suggest you pause this slide, mark your work, and as soon as you've done that, unpause. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, well done. Let's move on. So I want you to watch a video clip. You'll need to go back to Show My Homework to watch the video clip. It's one of the links. You've got 4 questions. I suggest you pause this slide and write those 4 questions into your book. I also suggest that you leave 2 or 3 lines between each of these questions to give you space to write the answers. Now then, when you click on the link on Satchel 1, you will discover that it takes you to a web page. You need to scroll down the web page to get to the video. Now, the picture here of the camel is showing you what the video looks like. So you need to scroll down until you see that video, and then you can play it and then answer the questions. So pause this slide now and go to Satchel 1 and watch the video. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, so I think you've watched the video now And here are the answers. I'm not going to read through them. You can just pause this. You can have a read of my answers and mark yours and add in any bits you want to make your notes better. Now then, desertification means land becoming desert, usually as a result of drought. Drought is when the rains don't come for many, many weeks and months, sometimes even years. It can also be caused by deforestation, which is where people chop down all the trees and remove them. Or it can be caused from overgrazing, which is what people, the newcomers to the Sahel, were doing. They brought their cattle onto the land, the cattle ate all the grass and left the ground bare. And because the soil was now bare, the sun could dry the soil out and then it all cracked and the topsoil was blown away. The topsoil is the best bit. So when we talk about soil, that top centimetre of soil is where all the goodness is. It's where all the nutrients are that makes plants grow. And if that top bit gets washed away or blown away, then nothing can grow. And that's what is happening in the Sahel region. So now we're going to talk about how we can turn the Sahel back green again. Before we do, let's just remind us of the causes of this desertification. So it's a very complex process. That means it's quite difficult to understand because there's a number of reasons for it. It's caused by physical processes and by humans mismanaging the land. Here are some of the factors that cause it. They mentioned in the video climate change. So long dry periods without rain, which causes drought. The dry conditions cause the vegetation to die, so the land loses the protective cover that vegetation provides. Because vegetation, like trees and plants, the roots of them bind the soil together, so they keep it in place so that it doesn't wash away and it doesn't blow away. And when plants drop their leaves onto the soil, those leaves will rot and produce a really nice mushy fertilizer which keeps the soil good. However, if the climate change is causing long periods of drought and all the vegetation dies, then the roots can no longer hold the soil together and the leaves will no longer drop onto the soil, making it really fertile. So therefore, the soil can end up drying up and blowing or washing away. The second thing is too many animals within the area. We call this overgrazing, and that's because the animals are grazing, that means they're eating the grass. Overgrazing means they're doing too much of that, so there's too many animals eating the grass. And the third thing is population growth. Traditional, less intensive methods of farming decline. What that's saying is the old ways of farming have disappeared now, and now people are farming in a new way. The problem with the new way is it tends to have a bigger impact on the land. So there's lots of pressure on the land for growing crops. Nomadic tribes, that means the tribes that move around. They once moved around different areas. So they'd farm one little bit of land and then they'd move on to another little bit of land and then they'd move on to another little bit of land. So at no point were they really damaging the land. However, recently, more and more farmers are moving onto the land that's not as suitable for farming and they're ruining it. They're also stripping the trees of wood or removing the trees entirely to use the wood for building, for heating, which has obviously led to more and more deforestation and soil erosion. So we're going to look at two methods for how we can try and turn the deserts green again, and I want you to decide which method you think is the best. This is the first one. We're going to look at growing potatoes in Egypt. What I want you to do is watch the video clip. Again, you'll need to go to Satchel 1 to find it. However, it's very important you only watch the video between 2.5 minutes and 8.5 minutes because the video is 13 minutes long and I don't want you to watch all of it. So write this down now so you don't forget, just to watch it from 2 minutes 30 to about 8 minutes 30. And I want you to make notes on the 3 things below. So you'll need to pause this slide and write those 3 things down. I suggest you leave 3 or 4 lines between each of these questions. So we're looking to see how the method works, what the advantages are, that's the good things, and what the disadvantages are. That's the bad things about the method. Okay, pause this now, write your questions down, and then you'll need to go to Satchel 1 to watch the video. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, welcome back. So these are the answers. Again, I'm not going to read through them. You can just pause this slide and see whether or not you managed to get these kind of answers down, and you can correct your work or add things in as you need. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, now we're going to watch the look at the second method, which is liquid clay. So that can be your new title. We're going to watch this video. You don't need to go to Satchel 1 because I'm going to play it to you here on the screen. You need to answer the same 3 questions. How does this method work? What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? Pause now and write the questions out, and then when you're ready, unpause and you can watch the video. Here we go.
Is it possible to convert arid land into fertile soil? That was one of the main reasons why Desert Control invented liquid nano clay, LNC in short. Through a patented process, LNC combines clay and water into a compound. The mix is then spread onto sandy soil and enables the soil to retain water, turning desert into fertile soil. The compound is applied with sprinklers to spread irrigation water across the affected land. The water creates a 40 to 60 centimeter deep layer, which retains the water like a sponge. This method saves water and increases yields. Cultivating sandy soil into fertile land normally takes from 7 to 15 years. Desert Control's LNC accomplishes that in just 7 hours. One application of LNC could last a minimum of 5 years. Production of LNC happens on site using only natural components. Customers will save between 1/2 to 2/3 of the water they are currently using to irrigate land for food and biocrops. If liquid nano clay were used in just 1% of the targetable arid land to reforest, the uptake would be 26 million tons of CO2 per year. Based in Stavanger, Norway, Desert Control is a clean tech company that specializes in turning deserts to green land using their patented liquid nano clay. They are currently showcasing applications in Saudi Arabia and Dubai.
Okay, finish up your answers, and here they are. Before I give you the answers, I would like to pause this slide and have a read through this information and see if you can add to your notes. You'll have to extract things out of the slide that you can add to how the method works, the advantages or any disadvantages that you can spot. So pause the slide and when you're ready, move on. 3, 2, 1, pause. Now do the same with this slide. Pause this slide, have a read through the information. Can you add anything more? 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, here's some of the things, some examples of things that you may have written down. Again, pause this slide, have a look at some of my answers and see if you can add to yours or correct some of yours. You've probably got more than me, but this is just some of the key points that I picked out. Pause this, mark your work. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, so to finish up this lesson, we have looked at the causes of desertification, specifically climate change and overgrazing. We've looked at 2 methods to try and turn the deserts back green again, growing potatoes in Egypt and the use of liquid clay. I would now like you to think about which of those 2 methods do you think is better for turning the desert green? Which do you think is more sustainable? That means long lasting, good for the environment, good for people. You make a decision now and write a very short paragraph in your book to explain your answer. And then go back to your Teams meeting where you can share your findings and your views with your teacher. Cheerio, bye-bye.